Hello everybody, my name is CAVECHINI. I am the director of CIGT and I'm here to answer some questions. We wanted to make this film to show the experience of making journalism in a country where the president insisted in denying science, spreading disinformation, and many of his followers went to the street to question the role of media. The first moments of the documentary were in mid-April last year when the president fired his first health minister, who was a doctor, who defended scientific protocols, measures of social distancing, and the president didn't want that. After that, there was a second minister of health that was also fired, and then the president stayed with a health minister to deal with the largest pandemic of our century, a health minister that was not a doctor, was someone from the military. The media, the journalism, is one way of knowing reality, one way of knowledge, maybe the raw material that historians and sociologists may use in the future to interpret our reality, to produce more knowledge about what we lived. But in the present time, media is also important to question government, question public policies, question injustice, and it's very important for a democracy that the journalism can be free. Of course, journalists can make mistakes. Sometimes, because journalist's job is to report immediately what's going on, some interpretations might be wrong, the focus in a certain subject might be not well balanced, but of course, after some time, having a free press is much more important than a government-controlled press. Because in a government-controlled press, media cannot question government, and injustice, mistakes are not brought to the society to maybe elect new governments, new ways of accountability, and to reorganize itself, improving the democracy. Well, I worked as a journalist for Brazilian television for more than a decade, and this experience, of course, made me understand a bit of how things go on in a newsroom. I know that the experience in a newsroom for the deadline, the need to be correct, but also to be quick, brings some tension in many moments. The argues about how to portray a subject might be intense. So this experience, this previous experience of mine and of many of my colleagues, made we think ways of bringing this experience that is tense to the screen. We didn't want to interview journalists after everything has passed. So we have this environment that's tense, which is the newsroom. During the pandemic is more tense. because we have the risk of getting sick, the need to bring information to the society that needs to respect scientific protocols, needs to stay home, that, to realize what's going on in our country, in our community, in other countries, to learn what other countries have done. But the newsrooms were also facing the attacks of authorities and attacks of supporters that spread conspiracy theories, disinformation, and denialism. Yes, we have recordings of some of the supporters. Some are on the film, in demonstrations, in interactions with journalists at the presidential palace. But after the media outlets decided to get out of the space what journalists used to be because of the hostilities, then we got out with them, and we were also aware of hostilities. I think it's important to listen to them, although many times they don't want to talk to journalists. But it's important to listen to them in a way that cannot be innocent, because they are always trying to spread disinformation. And when you talk to them, you need to find a way of not automatically bringing their point of view to the public, because their point of view may cause harm to the public. When someone denies vaccines, when someone denies measures of social distancing, when someone denies basic scientific protocols, you cannot bring this version as the way they say it to the public in an automatic way. So every time you listen to the supporters, you have to be careful with not bringing disinformation to the public, and this is a challenge. Well, it's a difficult question. As I said previously, the journalists and this documentary also is a way of knowing reality. It's a first impression of reality, and maybe we'll need a couple more years to understand the harms to the perception of democracy that this pandemic, called the political fight during the pandemic, have done to our democracy. I think the political fight that was established in Brazil made many people die, and that's very, very sad, because many people wanted to follow blindly the president or his speeches denying science, and that made many people not to look for the right protocols in a disease that was killing many people around the world. Maybe the polarization intensified by the pandemic and the political use of the pandemic is making harms to our democracy that we right now can only get a glimpse of what it really is, but not measure all this damage. And we'll feel the damage of this polarization in this decade. Well, I'm very worried about that, and the best we can do is continue working, bringing people stories, information, and trying to improve our democracy with good information.